We're at about 6,000 elevation, but this old boy doesn't like these long, drawn-out uphills. Just wants to kind of ching 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 with the gas. That pump, that's hot. That might be the problem. I'm thinking that noise was coming from that thing. Something started squealing. Temperature did climb up to close to a little over 200. So close to home. To understand how we got to this point, stranded on the side of the road, we got to go back 4 years. Before this channel existed, before I knew how to create and edit content, and before I knew how to balance audio. See, I woke up one morning, looked at the marketplaces, saw this Willys CJ-2A for a decent price, and said, I think I gotta have that. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job, honey. This is how she looked without the fenders. Now I can actually get onto this thing. I'm seeing a little bit of work maybe here on this frame. I think I saw it on the other side a little better. Where did I see it? Oh yeah, some framework here. Been reinforced. From what I've researched, this was used for some plowing and they had to reinforce that frame. Other than that, from what I can tell, this thing is all original. L134. It has the key coil. It's a 6-volt. I took out the plugs. They don't look too bad. I mean, they're rusted obviously, but I gotta decide what kind of project I want to make this. Oh yeah, it's Friday night. Did get a chance to assemble a couple items so I could at least crank this over. Built me some 2-aug positive cable and negative cable and negative starter cable to the foot starter, which by the way, this has a foot starter that took me a little while to figure out right here. That kind of frustrated me for about an hour getting this started. So that's a rookie mistake there. I removed the keyed coil from inside because I was having some issues with it. One, I lost the boot on it. So I need to get a boot replaced on the coil connector. Hopefully the points are good on this. I did put in some new spark plugs. So this is just temporary hanging here. So this electrical is really sketchy. That's kind of where I am to try to fire this up to see what this project is going to be. Oh, and this is my temporary gas going into my mechanical fuel pump. Well, I'm not sure if that's working or not. So right now I am just spraying some engine starter in there. I did pour a touch bit of transmission fluid into my spark plug ports yesterday, just to kind of loosen up those valves in there. It won't get over to the cylinders because I think the cylinders are off to the left here, so it doesn't get over to the cylinders. I was kind of hoping they would, but anyway. And I have a voltmeter connected up to my battery just so I can watch the volts, and I am at 6.41. At the time it does draw down as I'm starting it, but anyway, this is how I'm monitoring it. And this is what we have. I'm reaching over to the foot pedal, the foot starter, and I'm going to crank it over. You can see we got the voltmeter. So I am choking. There she goes. And then I hear this hum. Try this again. There she started. But she's running out of fuel. I'm not able to record and switch and choke this thing at the same time, it appears. Choke is closed. Do you hear that? I don't know what that sound is. Is that the starter? Bad starter? This is probably the first time it's been started in years. Could be a decade or 2 decades. So I'm pretty happy with that. I need to be able to give it some gas here. That's where I am, guys. At this time, I'm gonna call it a night. I'll play around again tomorrow. And I'm about to reach kind of goal 2. Goal 1 was to get the engine started, make sure that it turned over. Goal 2 is to get the tub off. So I'll kind of go through a few steps I did. And I am one stuck bolt that I need to cut away from getting my tractor and lifting this tub off. I've got the clutch pedal, brake pedal, and inside the gas pedal disconnected. I did not remove the steering column. I removed the shaft that goes over it, but I did not remove the steering column just because this is so crudted up. I really don't feel like cleaning it and turning it and unscrewing it off the frame. I just rather try to see if I can't pull this frame off, or the tub off at an angle, and just lift it up off. I think I can do that with the help of my daughter. The wiring has been disconnected through the grommets, speedometer. Gauges have been removed and saved. They're all the original gauges. Heater hoses have been disconnected. They are obviously trashed, brittle and trashed. Removed the battery cables to the battery and to the starter, to the distributor and the generator. So the start switch, a few other items over here. Out of the fire panel, all the wiring is trash on this. It was a shorting nightmare, I'm sure. I removed the plate from the transmission plate off the transfer case. And as you can see, I don't think this has ever, I'm not sure it's ever been removed. Oh, I went to the DMV today to get the title. Yes, this is titled, and get the title transferred to my name. And to my kind of disbelief, I am now officially just the 3rd owner of this. And I think the first owner was the father of the daughter I bought this from. I need to verify that for sure. This might have been in the family since day one. Ownership had to get transferred to her for his death and power of attorney and such. The gentleman that got me the title and registration today noted that I was officially the 3rd owner of this at this point. So That's kind of incredible for a 74-year-old vehicle. Something to note in this tub, there is a little bit of work that they pulled back some sheet metal here at one point for the throttle. I'm not sure what that is. There's a little hole here. And what I found was super interesting. These tubs, they used to use oak to help for the structure of these. So it's a metal structure, but inside they would add oak to also increase that. Well, that was obviously that wouldn't last. As soon as moisture got into the oak, it would expand, and it was probably starting to rust right out of the factory on these. This was the largest spot, and they even have a bolt that was going up through here that was covered by this. So there's a bolt under into this oak covered by this sheet metal, and this is obviously no good. I'm not sure how this gets, I'm not sure how I take care of this yet, but this is all, and it just peels out, old oak. I removed all the bolts underneath. There were 4 from the bumper up to the frame, 4 along the back here, framed the bumper, and 3 along the side from the tub to the chassis on the side of this, and some kind of a guide plate here. The bolt that I have to remove, that I need to cut out, is right here, and I'm gonna get that one out tonight. It is just spinning free inside, right about here, under, probably right there, under this tin metal into this oak. I will film the removal of the tub as soon as I get this bolt cut out and push this outdoors so I can get my Kubota and straps hooked onto this and hopefully lift this up out of here. I wanted to reach this goal of getting the tub off so I can get a good view of this 48 CJ-2A in its glory and get a good look at it now. Its structure, how she actually looks, and the important part of it. The rest is cosmetic. And this is what we've got. I've got a mess here. This is never, it's never been taken. This is 74 years of crud, folks. This is pretty interesting, kind of cool. Looking forward to getting this sprayed off and cleaned up. And although it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to it, this is a time-consuming project to get it right. To do it right. Look at 9 registered on the road, 9 of 2000. That's 22 years ago. Those could be the original shocks, everything. Frame doesn't look too bad. It's dirty, but it's definitely doable.
If you're ever going to build a machine capable of surviving the Colorado mountains and another 75 plus years, you cannot build it on top of 74 years of hidden structural rot. To find out exactly what we're truly dealing with, I brought in the heavy artillery from Southern Colorado Mobile Blasting. Every bracket, every cross member, and every square inch of the original steel had to be stripped completely bare. No shortcuts. When the dust finally settled and we were able to inspect that frame a little closer, we found that the front frame horn had been bent, pushed in, welds broken on cross members, filled welds that didn't hold up,
shoot, who knows, over the last 75 years. But I need that fixed. Reinforced. They did reinforce this top one at one point, something like this, but that could certainly be improved upon too. Anyway, this cross member could use some TLC.
Gas tank that had pinholes completely through it. Wheels that were rusted with pinholes. It was in pretty bad shape. There were some things I had to make choices on at this point. The weather shut down the outdoor work for months, but while the storms hit, I locked myself in the garage and went to war with the mechanics. I didn't point a camera at my face, I just put my head down and turned wrenches. Like anything in life, consistency paid off. I brought this frame over to a neighbor, he helped me get it repaired, brought it back to the shop, and now I'm able to get started reconstructing it. And that starts with a rolling chassis. Rebuilding the Data 44 rear end, the Dana 25 front end, and that reliable performance stopping power starts with track kick disc brake conversion brackets from Brennan's Garage and the Geo Tracker or Suzuki Sidekick front and rear rotor and caliper kits. Along the way we got the Dana 25 front knuckles rebuilt, shims added as needed, and a John Deere cornhead and GL4 slurry mix added. I chose to sideline the Dual-Matic locking hubs and chose some Rugged Ridge locking hubs instead. I then turned my attention to the Ross steering box, replaced the seals and the bearings. The sector shaft was twisted at the end and needed to be replaced as well. And to complete this rolling chassis, we upgraded the steering bell crank with a repair kit, 3/4 inch shaft, and I just tossed the passenger and driver side tie rod assemblies and upgraded them with new. With the rolling gear locked down, the foundation of this build is rock solid, but our 100-mile road trip ultimatum depends entirely on a 60 horsepower vintage engine that hasn't seen real internal oil pressure in decades. Before we could even think about assembling a reliable engine, we had to figure out exactly what 7 decades of life left behind inside this block. To save the original cast iron character of this Willys, I hauled the block to a local machinist yard to uncover the hidden damage. What we found inside the water jacket was absolutely brutal. Years of packed mud and cooling system scale that would have instantly overheated the engine. We punched out the old core plugs, chemically cleaned the block, bored the cylinders, and decked the block surfaces to establish a perfectly flat, zero-tolerance foundation. A 100-mile endurance run across paved highways and dirt back roads of Pueblo and Fremont County isn't one with raw horsepower, it's one with tolerances. If the gap between our new crankshaft journals and these main bearings is off by even 1/1000th of an inch, oil pressure drops, friction takes over, and the engine will weld itself into a solid block of scrap metal. Okay, we're at setting the main bearings, and I've got a new crank. The dowels are all in, the oil channels are all lined up, the oil galleys. These are your oil galleys, and this is where the oil will run, and it'll come around to the top part of the bearing, follow the channels as well, and oil crank as it's spinning around. Make sure those are lined up when you place these caps on. It's all cleaned. I have a very light coat of regular engine oil on here during my seating of these bearings. Again, these are just popped in. The bolts have been nice and cleaned off. So what I'm going to do at this point is go get my crank, drop it in here. I'm going to torque and put the bearings caps back on. I'm going to do an initial seating, and then I'm going to come back and then I'll use the assembly lube on the second time around. But at first I'm going to go through and put the crank in, set the bearing caps on, torque it gradually all the way to about 70 psi, which I believe the specs call for 65 to 75, so I'm going to do it to 70. Gradually torque them down. That's going to seat these bearings into place. Boom, kind of pop them nice and firmly in the. And these dowels, what these dowels do is they keep this bearing from spinning. So you might have heard the word of the you spun a bearing type of thing. That's what these dowels do. They pop in these holes and they hold these bearings from spinning, slipping. Right. Make sure those get put back in. Those before you put the bearings in. It's very important. What you need to be careful for is here's the oil galleys. Just like we cleaned the oil galleys in the block, we want to clean out the oil galleys that are in our crank. Spray them out with some carb cleaner, blow them out, get any machinist junk that didn't get cleaned out from the machinist. These are very nicely polished, ready to go. What I'm doing is just making sure that everything's rotating nicely still. I'm gonna keep these clean. Again, the oil galleys are to be nice and clean. Don't want any leftover pieces of machining material left in those. It goes directly to your bearing caps, right to your bearings if otherwise, so blow those out good. I'm gonna put the bearing caps back on and make sure they're indexed. You can see I've got indexing marks towards the front. I'll be sure to line those up properly. I'm gonna torque these down across and get this seated. I don't have the seal in yet. After I seat the bearings, I'm gonna pop this crank back out, check everything, because the goal is to plastic gauge these bearings to make sure the tolerance is proper. So that's the goal right now. That's my next step, is to get to a point where I can do a plastic gauge on this and see how it's all machined up. Again, this is a point to where if it's not right, you can get it back to the machinist if need be. Bear with me. I'm gonna put the caps back on and torque this down to the appropriate specs, and then we'll be pulling this back off. All right, the caps are back on. They're indexed. Index marks towards the front. Index marks towards the front. Index marks. I've got them torqued to 20, and the reason for that very light initial oiling was so I could do a slight spin, make sure there's no binding, and this thing is really moving nicely at 20 psi here. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to go to 40, 60, and then I'm going to finish up at 740, and I'll respin, just make sure there's no binding. 60, I'll just respin like this, make sure everything is still running smooth, and then I'll finish it at 70. That'll set these bearings, and then we'll pull this off, and then we'll kind of redo it with a piece of plastic gauge in there. I'll show you guys. I am all set up at 70. Spinning smooth as butter in there. Perfect. Like it a lot. All right, so the bearings are seated. These main bearings. So I am going to back this process out. I'm going to gradually release the bolts, take off the caps, pull the crank, and put a piece of plastic gauge in. I'll show you that in a second. All right, caps are off. And for those of you who aren't familiar with plastic gauge, we will take a little piece. There's a piece of it in here that comes with the package. And basically what you do is you cut a little piece of it off, put it on your crank. We're going to put the bearing back on it. We're going to crank it back up to 70 per cap. Those pieces of plastic gauge will compress, and based on how flat they get, it will give us a gauge on how much clearance we have in the bearing. So I am going to pause, put the caps back on, gradually torque it back up to 70, and see what our measurements are. I'll come right back. All right, so I've got it torqued down to 70, pop them back off. Just FYI, don't make the silly mistake of putting your plastic gauge where your oil runs are, oil channels, because you'll pop the cap off and there won't be any squish, and you'll be like, silly, stop videoing, just do your work. So here's what it looks like. It flattens it. And now we can do a gauge. And then again, we'll just scrape these. We just scrape this little plastic off when we're done, and we're good. So we kind of look and get what that tolerance is. I'll pull up the specs. I just kind of want to show you how I'm going to do it here. But this is what you do. You use that squish to find out what the gauge of it is. And there. Zero, 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 two. So they all are fine. I'll go through and remove the wax now, apply my assembly lube, and get these reseated back in there. With the internal tolerances locked down, the rest of the puzzle came together pretty fast. I threw a fresh coat of gray on the block, dressed the external components, and lowered the completely overhauled Go Devil back down onto its engine mounts. For the first time in years, the 1948 chassis had its native heart back in place. But before the frame moves an inch under its own power, it had to prove itself on the standalone test rig. And right there, that is a sweet sound. No knocks, no smoke, just a smooth, uniform flathead idle. The mechanical spine is officially live, but our upcoming 100-mile endurance run through Pueblo and Fremont County is only half won. A running engine doesn't mean squat if you don't have a place to sit or a wiring system you can trust. Next up, we haul the original body tub into the shop, peel back the layers of old paint, and seal the patina. A running flathead on its frame is a mechanical victory, but a machine doesn't truly become a vehicle until it has a soul. This tub carries 7 decades of raw Colorado history written directly into the sheet metal. Every layer of oxidized paint, every farm-field dent, that's the character we're trying to protect. Showroom perfection? That's not here. To drive this piece of history, the floorboards needed just a little bit of work, and it needed to get prettied up a bit. A bit of time was spent stabilizing the sheet metal, cutting out the cancer the best we could, and working on the internal floor hat channels. The goal was precise: make it look the best we could on the small budget we had available, and stop grinding the second we threatened the history. The inside gets truck bed armored, sealed and protected against the elements. The outside stays exactly as time intended. A heart needs a nervous system, so a modern 12-circuit fusible wiring harness was going to keep this on the road safely running. Then comes the marriage, dropping 7 decades of weathered history down onto a clean, precise, modern braking rolling chassis. With some fresh seats, white wheels, and swamper tires, this is no longer a pile of steel sitting in a Pueblo West garage. It may look reliable sitting in the driveway idling, but we quickly found some problems on a shakeout ride. My 1948 CJ-2A just completely died. The engine is gasping, hesitating, and refusing to take throttle. We're working with a Joe's Motor Pool Carter WO. Listen to this and stumbles before RPMs finally catch up. The classic Lean Bog. When I crack that throttle plate open, the engine gulps air, but the fuel is lagging behind. It's the accelerator's pump job to shoot a quick stream of fuel into the throat to bridge that gap. If the pump is shot where the passages are full of dirt, junk, or whatever the hell was in there, you get that exact hesitation. And out on the road, that's what kills your engine at a stop sign. Let's tear it down. Here be the problem with why this went bad. The float needle. What even is that? Look at that. That's why this needle wasn't operating right. Let's get this reassembled back together with a clean float needle. We'll use this accelerator rod adjustment tool and the float adjustment tool for 3/8 inch. Since we found the problem with the carb, we cleaned it out. Let's start reassembling this, adjusting the float, adjusting the accelerator rod. I've also been suspect that the fuel pump was having a volume, velocity, pressure issue. A healthy mechanical pump should be pulsing a steady stream of fuel right into this jar. Since we know we got a full tank of gas, we found another smoking gun. It does come with a gasket, and this is a manual primer. So let's go ahead and get this one installed and see what the result is. Well, we got to get in here and replace this pump. You saw the problem. That wasn't good. Now that we got the carb sorted out, let's bolt up a new manual prime pump, rerun the hard lines, and see if we can't get this started. This is what you should expect to see from a properly working mechanical fuel pump. A steady pulsating stream of fuel. Well, now that we got it all buttoned back up, let's see if it'll start. We'll prime that fuel pump manually. We'll fill up the lines. We'll run it off that idle circuit. So this will be the first part of the safety upgrade. I'm going to cut this down to size, get it painted, put a 2-point lap belt into this 48-2A. Let's get this out into the open so we got a little space to work on it. So I already said we got a roll bar that we're going to put on there. I've already painted it up. So this will be the first part of the safety upgrade. I need to fabricate some steel to sandwich this thin, that's probably 18 gauge body, and some bolts, some 7/16 inch bolts. I'm going to fabricate a piece of steel. Actually, I have it. I'm going to cut this down to size, and it's going to sandwich our body between the roll bar here just to help secure it up. So we'll measure that up, get it cut, get it painted. So we're going to measure the base, and it's approximately 27 inches. I got a 4-foot stick. I got 2 4-foot sticks, so maybe I'll cut it at 28. Keep the rest. Now we know we want our bracket to go all the way to the back here. We're going to line the back brackets up. We'll leave a little long in the front. We'll have some room up front. That should do it. Now this side has a brace here. So that side's got a brace. We're gonna, right here, we're gonna have to make accommodations for that one. But we can do this side. This one is open front to back. So we can get this side marked and drilled. Now we got our 3 holes. Again, this will go up underneath on the other side like so. We'll sandwich the body between. This is a 3/16. This isn't a rock crawler. You know, it's moderate 4-wheel drive at best. I'm not going to go out there and just tear this thing up. And if it rips through 7/16 inch 8 grade nuts and their washers, it's going to tear through the tub. It's not going to tear through the steel. It's going to actually tear. It'll just mangle the tub at that point. So let's get this piece I got drilled out with the 3 holes. It's going to sit underneath here like so. So we're going to drill through these 3, front, middle, rear, and get this side set, and then we'll go work on the other side. All right, that's one side fitted. It's just test fitted. I'll come back again. We'll paint it up. We'll let it cure overnight. Then we'll reassemble this tomorrow. We got some weather coming in, so let's do the rinse and repeat on the other side. So the roll bar had time to cure the paint overnight. So let's go ahead and get this installed. Let's see how it goes. The braces or the plates that go under the tub, they've had time to cure. So this should just be a matter of bolting it up. Everything's already cut, drilled, painted. So now let's just bolt this into place. I've got the plates for the underside. We'll get on there. Let's get this done. Yep, it just might save my life someday. So now that we got a roll bar in, let's put a universal 2-point lap strap into this 48-2A. So let's not set any false expectations, but I got to keep my daughter in this thing. She's graduating high school, getting ready to go to college, so this is the last summer I get with her. We're gonna take a road trip, but I gotta keep her fastened in this thing. I don't need her rolling out on a corner, but I also wanna point out that this roll bar and this 2-point lap belt, we're still rolling down a road in a piece of steel. Let's not set any false expectations of what this is gonna be able to do. The roll bar, that's great if we're out on the trails and we tip over. If we get hit at 40 miles an hour, this rolling chunk of steel, there's gonna be some consequences. So we gotta drive very particular. We gotta be very defensive. We gotta know that when we're driving this down the roads with traffic, our life depends on our driving ability and staying safe. Let's dig in. Let's decide where we're gonna put these. I have a pretty good idea the best mounting points available on these 2As. They didn't come with seat belts. They didn't come with roll bars. So my idea on this mounting is to use this channel brace that's already on the tub and mount this point with 7/16 inch nuts through the channel and through a piece of this 3/16 inch iron that'll be sitting back here. So we're going to go through the tub channel, drill through this, and secure the seat belt on the same as the other side. That has the same channel on it, structural channel, and so does that side at the same place. So we'll be sitting like this. And for the center section, we're going to drill through the tub. There's actually a cross member about 3 inches back from the riser. So we're going to come down through this hole that's already in this cross member. We're going to bolt the seat belt right through the bed into this cross member with the 7/16 inch. So let's use what we've already got. And I'm going to go through that for my center, something like this here. And that's this hole. Let's be careful not to hit the brake line. So here's the hardware that I'm using. I'm using a 3 1/4 by 7/16. That'll go through the tub, through the cross member, and it'll look like this. Washer, passenger belt, driver belt, washer, through the tub, through the cross member, and then I'm going to come through with another washer and a nylon locking nut so that I can get it tight, somewhat tight, but it'll still swivel. This will still be able to swivel, and it'll be in place like so. And it'll meet that 45-degree angle between your torso and your legs. Same with this one. It'll be at that 45-degree angle between your torso and your legs. Boom. Cut you right through there. Just where you want it. And then this side, again, this side will go right in here and attach. So it's snug and still is able to rotate, which is good. So here it is on the passenger side. We've got washer, seatbelt, washer, bolt. And the reason why we're putting this washer, or I'm putting this washer behind, is so this seatbelt can swivel on the washer, between the washers, and not on the tub material. So that'll go in like that, and that'll swivel like so. Washer on the back side, and nylon locking nut on the back side, and our 3/16 inch plate. We're going to do similar on this side, and we are going with 7/16 inch hardware. We're going to go through the hole we drilled. So we got bolt, washer, seatbelt, washer. And again, this bolt nicely sits right at that 45-degree position here. And then we're going to come on the back side with this, with a 7/16 inch hole drilled in it. It's going to get locked down with a washer and another locking nut. Here we go. So that can still swivel. Perfect. And the bolt doesn't move. Clip, clip. We're in place. Nice. Well, now that we got roll bar, seat belts, I got to get a rear view mirror put on this. I happened to find the original side mirror assembly, which is kind of nice. It's pretty heavy duty. But somebody had bondoed in here prior to me doing this. So I got to find the original holes. I can see one here. So I'm going to pop that out, and I can feel where like the Bondo had pushed through the hole. So I can feel a little lump back there where the hole is. And I can feel the lump where the second hole is. And I can also feel the lump on the two bottom ones. So I'm going to try to locate those, pop those out gently or drill them out gently, and then get this mounted up. Well, we're calling that a wrap. We're out of time. We're out of here as soon as my daughter finishes her last test tomorrow at high school. Before she graduates, this thing's ready to go tackle 100 miles. We hope. We don't know what's going to happen out there, though. You never know with these old vintage vehicles. The carb is clean. The safety gear is bolted up. The high school textbooks are closed. It's time to go test drive. 100 miles or bust. Here we go. Wish us luck.
Did you really think that through? Put that there?
This is the most sketchy part of the trip right here. This is Highway 50. It's apparently under construction. And we got cars flying by us. We got our hazards on. But we're doing about 35 miles an hour. I grew up in this old town when I was a little kiddo. I traveled all over these streets. Bicycles, motorbikes. We're in Penrose, Colorado. It's a lot different now than when I remember it as a kid, back in the 70s. It seemed like this place used to be kind of green. As a matter of fact, when we had our horses, we used to get hay at a property called Green Acres. That sign's still here, but the Green Acres is far gone. Penrose, Colorado, Fremont County. This agricultural town was founded and plotted in 1909 by the Beaver Park Land and Irrigation Company, led by entrepreneur Spencer Penrose. We just came across something sitting here in this driveway. Let's take a look at what we got. Nice. We don't want to overstay our welcome. This is Main Street of Penrose, Colorado. Not a whole lot here, but they do have a VFW.
Looks like a car show.
Veterans. This used to be a good childhood friend of mine's dad's place. It's been here a while. Looks to be closed down. I found this next downtown Penrose, Colorado contrast quite interesting. This is a 2026 modern version of downtown Penrose. The following picture is probably circa 1920s. Find that the hotel in the far background still has the same porch railing around it. The pharmacy store, when I was growing up, that was actually a grocery store named Don's Market. Parade for decades in this town. This is what this was. This was like the apple city of Colorado, Penrose, Colorado. They had apple orchards all over out here at one point. Penrose Library, a longtime friend of ours, is the librarian out here. So we made it to our first gas stop in Penrose, Colorado. So for Pueblo to Penrose, she did okay. The old boy did okay. We're gonna let it just rest for a few minutes here. We're gonna try to figure out how many miles per gallon we got. But I think we did better than I was expecting. I was expecting like 1 or 2, just based off how I've been driving around the blocks around the house. But we did a little better. So far so good. Keep your fingers crossed. We're only a fraction of the way done with this trip. We did 3.5 gallons in how many miles?
Like 23.
23-ish miles. And by the way, the gas gauge doesn't work. Half a tank, we're done.
Put seatbelts in here. It makes me feel safer.
There you go. This is one of my favorite places to come and stop at when I'm in the area. Coyote's Cafe. Coyote's Coffee Den. It's a good little stop. Think we'll pull in. Think we'll get ourselves a cup of coffee. Yeah, we are.
You are. Okay.
Coyote Cafe, our little stop when we're in this area. Good little place. Highly recommended. Well, we stopped to get a drink at the Coyote Cafe. or the Coyotes Coffee Den. I remember it as the Coyotes Coffee Den or the Coyotes Cafe, and she's flooded. She flooded on us a little bit here after it sat for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna give it a little time to cool off, then we'll jump back in and continue this trip. 100 miles or bust. We're 23, 24 miles in. Gooseberry Patch is where you could get those ginormous hamburgers when you were a kid. Ride your bike down here at lunchtime on a frontage road. There used to be a frontage road right here, a dirt road. Right here where my finger is. Like a little Jeep road. You could ride your bike down here, get a ginormous hamburger and fries at the Gooseberry Patch, and go ride the rest of the day and not go home till dark time for dinner. Built in 1922 in Fremont County, Colorado, Brush Hollow Reservoir was originally created to support regional agriculture and cattle ranching. Today, the 88-acre lake anchors the Brush Hollow State Wildlife Area, primarily serving as the main water source for the town of Penrose. Pick your look ahead, pick your line. Make something up there, which line you want. Keep those tires out of the hole, out of the rut. Stay on it, stay on the gas. Get back, stay left. Up, no, go, gas. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job, honey.
Wow. That was fun.
Good job. We're at the Holy Cross Abbey. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the Holy Cross Abbey in Cañon City, Colorado was built in 1924 by the Benedictine monks. Operating as a Catholic monastery and boys' boarding school for decades, it has since been transformed into a community event space and winery. Many other events like weddings, celebrations are also hosted at the Abbey. We are cruising down the main drag of Cañon City, Colorado. This was a happening place back in the day. Cars would line up here Friday, Saturday nights. You could always find your friends here Friday, Saturday nights. This was the place you'd go and hang out. Cruise up and down this strip for hours. Let's enjoy it. Established in 1860, Cañon City, Colorado served as a supply hub during the Pikes Peak Gold Rush and briefly vied to be the state capital. Known for its rich paleontology, diverse early settlement, and enduring association with the state's correctional system, the city boasts a heavy, preserved historic downtown. 223. The Owl. The Old Owl Cigar Shop. Another blast from the past. We're looking at Main Street and 4th Street in Cañon City, Colorado. The first picture, you're going to still see the old bank sitting on the left corner, and on the right, you're going to see the old hotel. The historic picture, you're going to see the horse-drawn carriages, the pedestrians, the same bank on the left, and the same hotel on the right. Cañon City is home to the Colorado Territorial Correctional Facility, the state's oldest prison. Established in 1871, predating Colorado's statehood, this historic penitentiary originally held Colorado's death row and execution chamber. Today, it functions at a medium security facility. Informally, we all call it Old Max. We got a guard up in the tower looking at us. Well, we officially made it as far west as we're gonna go. We're on the west side of Cañon City, just off Highway 50 at the State Correctional Facility. It's still operational, as a matter of fact. We got a couple guards leaving the facility right now. But we're gonna go fill up, get some gas in this, and start making our way southeast. We're only halfway done. Second fuel stop. Let's see how much it's going to take us. $4.50. 2.375 gallons.
That's
How many miles did we go?
22.9.
22.8?
0.9.
22.9.
9.5 gallons per mile.
9.5 gallons per mile. Not too bad, guys. Let me know, your other Jeepies out there, your Willy guys. Let me know what kind of mileage you're getting. I have no idea. My first time. All right, onward we go. The Royal Gorge Dinner Train, located in Cañon City, Colorado, about 45 minutes from Pueblo, Colorado, offers a scenic 2.5 to 3 hour journey through the deep, rocky canyons of the Royal Gorge and under the Royal Gorge Bridge. You can grab a bite to eat, grab some dinner, have some snacks, and enjoy an evening on the train. We're going to swing to an old ice cream shop.
Watch out, there's one dog.
You know, the secret way is the alleyway. South side or the west side of Cañon City, up and down Main Street a few times. The Willys is doing great. I'm not complaining at all. We got that one flooding problem at the Coyote Den Cafe or Coffee House or Coffee Den. It flooded. We were stuck there for about 30 extra minutes. But it came back to a little choke. No gas, a little choke it came to. So we're gonna go ahead and try to cannonball this home. We're gonna cruise through into Florence, Colorado now. We'll stop, we'll take a couple photos there, the old high school, so on and so forth, Main Street. Then we're gonna head up to Wetmore, Colorado. And from Wetmore, we're gonna head down 96, I believe, which is on the south side of Lake Pueblo. Then we'll go through Lake Pueblo and get back home. That'll give us our 100 miles for the day in the old 48. No complaints. Well, we're just west of Florence on County Line Road, what is it?
79.
County Line Road 79. And it started acting up a little bit. It started bucking with the fuel. Like it's either vapor locking
or it's starving for fuel, or it's getting too much. I'm not sure just yet. I just pulled over so we can start looking at it. This fuel is definitely hot. Underneath on the other side, that pump, that's hot. That might be the problem. This is my old high school, Florence High School. Man, they don't make them like this anymore. It's been shut down as the main high school here in Florence. They rebuilt up on top of the Arkansas River, up on some land up there. Ironically enough, they built on top of a dump, an old city dump up there. So this was turned into a middle school. That was the old gymnasium, original one. They have another one on the back side, which is the more modern one. But yeah, Florence High School. Cool place. Some fantastic memories there.
We had to stop again. What do you have to say?
I say that it's either vapor locking or feel like it might be vapor locking, or the accelerator pump on the carb, you know, isn't functioning quite right now. It's on these hills that we're having to go up for a long duration. That's when it wants to bog down and starve for fuel. This is where we kind of sit for a little bit, let it cool down, and head out again. That carburetor's hot. It is hot, but it's not over 180 degrees. It's still maintaining 180 degrees. We're at about 6,000 elevation, but this old boy doesn't like these long, drawn out uphills at 30 miles an hour. It just wants to kind of ching 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 with the gas. So we have to let it cool down a little bit, but it wasn't over. It was about 190 degrees. The electric fan's doing its job. Everything seems to be working out, but we are having a difficult time getting up these hills. We just made it through Wetmore, Colorado. We're on the back stretch here, back into Pueblo, Colorado, and then through the lake. We got about 30 more miles. We're getting there. It's doing it.
So close.
We got one more stop after this long sustained hill. Doesn't like the hills, but just some of them, not all of them. Just some hills. but we're almost to the top of it. Just a little bit further to go to get up there. It just wants a rest. I think I've got an accelerator pump. I think it might be the accelerator pump. It just can't get enough fuel on these long sustained drives here. Well, we're almost home and we just developed a new sound. Is that the water pump? Can you give it a little gas? Okay. That water pump is hot. I'm thinking that noise was coming from that. That thing, something starts squealing. The temperature did climb up to close to a little over 200. So close to home. We're not hearing that sound anymore from that water pump. You know, I loosened that belt up a little bit, I spun it a little bit. The temperature dropped pretty quickly back down to about
It's like 160.
160 from 180. Made a quick drop. Maybe something got hung, maybe the bearings got hot. I don't know, but we're back on the road. But we don't have that noise anymore, so that's good. Let's get home. Well, the old boy did it. You know, I think there at the end, about 5 miles away at the lake, I think the bearings in the water pump went. But all in all, it did pretty good. We got our 100 miles in.
Exactly 8 hours.
8 hours. We had to stop a few times on some hills. It wanted to stop and rest on a few hills, cool down a little bit, those long drawn out hills. Other than that, we made it, did good. We took it from a heap a couple years ago and just took it 100 miles. Success. Thanks for watching Hacking Patina. I'm your host, Sean. This is my daughter, Lauren. We'll talk to you later.